Hey Aquarius North Node, how you guys doing? All right, so this video is for you if you want to understand how to live your purpose in this life. I'm going to talk about a couple of ways, 3 ways that you can really embrace this Aquarius North Node placement, all right? This North Node, for those of you who don't know, you may have stumbled upon this video, so hey, how are you? North Node is the purpose, what you're here to do in this life. It is your path. It is your karmic path. It is the new language you're learning. It's the thing you're here to do. So a lot of times I teach a North Node class and we talk about it as a job or as a career. And yes, that definitely can impact your career. The North Node energy can basically show you how to embrace a career. It could be just about the energy with which you're embracing it. Doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, I'm an accountant, so I must become a shaman. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to jump ship and go to a totally different career, especially if you love it and are really good at it and you have a lot of desire to keep doing it. But you may have run up against a wall at some point in your life. North Node shows up usually in the later part of one's life, so after 40. Okay, North Node really becomes a thing. And you have North Node in Aquarius, which means your South Node is in Leo. So I'll talk about that and how that works and what really is the point of this North and South Node kind of thing in a second. But the 3 things you really want to know about Aquarius North Node is the quest is about having vision, okay? And the quest is about dreaming and about being visionary. The same applies to Leo a little bit. So these 2 opposite energies are, if Leo is your South Node, if Aquarius is your North Node. And so Leo may have been visionary in terms of being famous, in terms of being an individual famous, all right? Embracing creativity on an individual level, maybe having impact globally, but still it's, my song, it's my art, whatever. As an Aquarius North Node, you're embracing a collective energy of fame, okay? So there's something about innovation that has to do with Aquarius energy. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, and Uranus is all about innovation, about being a rebel, about breaking through blocks. It's for the good of the collective, though. It's not about being famous for that. This you could kind of attribute like people who come up with medical cures or medical advancements in surgeries, in any kind of medicine. It is for the collective good they come up with this. So they may or may not become famous because of it, but that's not really the point of it. The point is to envision a new world where this particular disease doesn't, decimate the planet. And so the work and the energy is put into for the collective. It's not about me being famous for it. It's about everybody healing or everybody being in a better life because of what I'm doing. So the first thing you need to know is what you're embracing in this life, or what you're being asked to embrace, is to learn about holding your own vision for humanity. Okay, so this isn't just and I don't mean to downplay Leo or anything, but as a past life, you might have been famous. You might have been somebody who had a vision for their career, had a vision for what they wanted to do, and you fulfilled it, okay? So now, that was a relevant past life, doesn't necessarily mean it was the previous past life, but now in this life, you're being asked to do that for the collective. So learning to embrace your vision for humanity is a big deal. It's kind of like being a rebel with a cause. So you're learning to break through when someone says, oh, that's not something we do. We don't do it that way here, or this is not how things are done. That gets your North Node Aquarius juices flowing and like, hey, I'm going to make it better for everybody. So you might get in trouble for that because being a rebel, basically you're kicking against the traces of a structure that someone put into place because it was a good thing for everybody. And now you're like advancing past that. And so the people who like having a structure that we have always done. You've heard people say this before. I'm sure as a North Node Aquarius, you might have been part of a very traditional family, or you might have been part of a traditional kind of career path, or your friends, or whatever. You know, you might have gone to an Ivy League school. You might have, because South Node Leos are super creative, very visionary in terms of their art. You might have gone to music school, you might whatever, and now your job is to kind of advance the body of knowledge or the type of learning you've had. And it's not all book learning, okay? It's not just all book learning. It can be about ancestral karma. It can be about other things that you're determined to pull us all with you and do something that is for the betterment of all. So that's one, is like learning to embrace your vision for humanity. Number two is learning to share and give equally, give and take. Leo is a lot about receiving kind of attention and adulation. And if a Leo in your past life, if you're a Leo in your past life, which definitely you are because South Node does indicate past lives, you probably were somebody on a pedestal to a lot of people. So you can't possibly give all of those people your attention, right? You're giving them your art, and that kind of like scales it for you. You're able to have a lot of people enjoy what you're doing on this planet. In Aquarius, it's the other way around. It's sort of like you are now charged with impacting those people individually in a different kind of way. All right. So if the art or if whatever Leo did impacted them in a love way, impacted their lives in a certain way, as an Aquarius, as an Aquarius North Node, you are using this altruism, this collectivism to support other people's art, support other people's fame, support other people's health or well-being or community or something like that, right? You're here to support. So it's like an all boats rise thing. It reminds me a little bit of being an architect, because an architect has a vision, right? Architects have vision. They're creative. They are solving problems all the time. But it's usually done as part of a team. And when an architect wins an award for a building, it's definitely a career or a career path that has to do with team. The team wins the award. It's not just the central architect. Architects are also all apologies to all of you architects who don't have a ton of ego, but there are some that do, and that's their struggle. Because in their past life with Leo, even if they're not a North Node, even if they have a lot of this Aquarius energy, you might have an Aquarius energy, or you might have strong Uranus in your chart too, and this might apply to you, that wanting to get the glory and the fame is the thing that's going to take you down, because that's about ego, and that's not the lesson in this life, okay? So that's the second thing, is really learning to share and give credit where credit is due. Learning to, be part of a team, even though you have leadership and vision, it's other people contributing and you seeing the value of other people's contributions, not just your own, which a Leo might, if a Leo is like a lead singer of a band, they may not really think that drummer is all that important. All apologies to Phil Collins, but they might not think that drummer is all that big a deal. Really, in their soul, they might be like, yeah, I'm the reason they come to see. And that might be partially true. However, as an Aquarius North Node, you do see the value of the drummer and the bass and the guy who does the audio and the, Jackson Brown song about rolling in all the carts with all his stuff and putting them back on the truck, really recognizing the team effort of his music. I love that song for that reason. He's just amazing. So the lower vibe of Aquarius is superiority, and that comes from past lives as Leos in that South Node position. That's where you'll see it, that you can have a tendency to go down the road of too much ego or too much superiority, and just know that that's a low vibe thing. And really it's about balancing, learning to share, learning give and take, equality, learning how to share credit when credit is due. So the third thing too, it's almost like an offshoot of that, is you might really be isolating yourself too much. And that's the third thing, to really embrace other people's contributions, to really learn how to be part of a community. That's what this life is about for you. It's not just about, okay, I'm going to invent something that other people are going to live a better life, although that is likely on some level part of it. But what I have learned, this is what I wanted to say later in the video, what I have learned about North Node is that it matures. It's a lifelong learning, and the South Node is all this collecting of karma, collecting of South Node nonsense until you get to the point where your North Node is like, nope, you got to go toward me. No more of this Leo stuff. You've got to go toward, and that can be seen as maturity, but it's also a North Node push. Okay, that's also what's happening, a North Node push. And so right now we have North Node in Taurus, and so that's kind of crossing you a little bit astrologically. But North Node in Taurus is really about what do we value. And I feel like that's the lesson for all of us for the next 18 months. We all do deal with the transits and everything. So even though the North Node's in Taurus and it's not your North Node, still impacts you. It's about what you value. So as a North Node in Aquarius, you may be pushed to make some kinds of innovations on a team level for to support the collective's idea of what we all value. And over this year for sure, 2022 and into 2023, and as soon, it's going to move into Aries after Taurus, because it always goes in retrograde. The North Node is always in retrograde. So you could see that right now it's about the collective, and it's about creating our own values or believing in our own values and choosing our own values and what do we want to put time and attention to. And you're on the forefront of that as a North Node in Aquarius. All right. Like I said, your South Node is in Leo. I said at the top of this video, not about tossing out this Leo stuff. It's not about like, oh God, anything that's ego is bad. Like, okay, but only toxic ego is bad. We all need ego. We all have ego. You couldn't get out of bed in the morning without an ego. Just saying. Okay. But when the ego is becoming too big and it thrives and survives on attention for doing something that will help the collective or not, or just doing your own thing and it is seen as somehow valuable, that eventually is going to become this bloated thing and it's going to crush whatever good you're doing. So the lesson here right now is to go toward what you value for the collective. And it is about putting your own ego aside. It is about being a rebel and seeing, hey, this is keeping us back. This is holding us back. It's time for us to kick down the door of that and make something new. And a lot of times North Node Aquarius is leading that charge. We are now in the age of Aquarius. So you can see the transformation from a position of North Node or North Node in Aries, let's say before Pisces, before we get to Aquarius, right? Always goes in retrograde. Pisces is really connected to spirituality. And now with the North Node or the age of Aquarius happening, I do kind of liken it to North Node. So I'm sorry if I'm blurring those two things for you. But for me, this is just my take on it, is that we've moved out of this age of spirituality and faith in the sense of we are moving into Aquarius. There's a little more science-based to that. Some folks who have found themselves wanting to shut themselves down from seeing science or seeing anything like that, this might be when we go into the age of Aquarius, which we are since the 1960s. We've been moving into the age of Aquarius. Ages, by the way, I said, North Nodes last 18 months. Ages last thousands of years. So, we might not get it all in the first couple of years of the age of Aquarius, but we've been shifting into the age of Aquarius since the 60s, since the 1960s. So now what you're seeing is a lot of people rebelling and wanting to hold on to old things that aren't necessarily in the collective's good. And I do feel like you, as a North Node Aquarius, will have a big job, especially in the age of Aquarius, to help the collective get back on track and be a more powerful force for good. All right? Raising all boats. It's not about, hey, I got mine, whatever. It's not about that. All right, so that's your video, North Node and Aquarius. If you want to go deeper, I do teach a class on North Node, working with the North Node. I have lots of videos about the North Node. If you want to know more, I'm going to make a little playlist, so we'll put a little card here, or it'll be in a link in the description box. All right, my darlings, there you go.